story at this hour, the procession continuing for the fallen Santaquin police officer who was killed just yesterday.
His body being transferred from the medical examiner's office in Taylorsville to a funeral home in southern Utah County. We carried the start of the procession live just about 30 minutes ago for you, and it was a long, very large show of support for this fallen officer. It spanned the entirety of I-15 from the middle of the Salt Lake Valley nearly all the way down to Utah County.
We have extensive team coverage right now of that procession as we continue to learn more about what happened surrounding those events of that officer's death and the subsequent manhunt for the suspect as well.
We'll begin with news specialist Dan Rascone live at the Santaquin Police Headquarters. And Dan, there has been a tremendous outpouring of support from the community there.
Yeah, there really has, Shara and Dan. Just an incredible sight out here. This is where the patrol car is set up right out here in front of the Santaquin Police Department. You could see people have been coming here all day long, all morning long, all day yesterday, dropping off flowers, dropping off messages, dropping off photos and balloons and flags and all kinds of things to be able to remember this officer, to be able to show their love and support. It's pretty incredible to be able to see the kind of support that he's receiving out here. This is a small town in southern Utah County. A lot of people not even knowing the officer still coming out and wanting to show their support. We did talk to, though, a next door neighbor and also a dispatcher that know this officer very well. Here's what they had to say. Mrs. Auger, tell me a little bit about your thoughts, your reaction to what's happened here to your neighbor.
Well, honestly, we're just all in shock that he's no longer here with us. Anyway, he's going to be greatly missed in the neighborhood and in the community. And we are just so grateful to have known him personally and the man he was and just the life that he lived. So.
Tell me a little about what he was like and what you loved about him.
Well, he was a good guy. He had a really good laugh, and he had the greenest yard on the block. So I know a bunch of the neighbors are gonna try to keep that up. And so anyway, he just was always looking after, like all of us. He just, I don't know, we always felt safe with him. And anyway, you could tell that he did care about every one of us in our neighborhood, in our community, and so he was the best.
And Amber is a dispatcher in Spanish Fork. You've talked to this officer many times on the radio. Yeah. Your thoughts, your feelings, you felt the need to come down here to drop off some flowers.
Yeah, you know, you hear it happen in other states, other cities, and you think it's not going to be us, never us, and then it is us, and it just doesn't seem real sometimes, and he deserves our respect, and I just wanted to come and pay my respects to him for sure.
Any thoughts or feelings about this particular officer? Anything you remember? We're not mentioning his name right now because out of respect for the family, but what do you remember?
He was so kind. That was the biggest thing, is he's a sergeant, and sergeants in little towns they go out on the calls too. You know, they don't think they're better than, not that the other ones do, but he was always so kind. He was always willing to help. As this call, you know, he was going to help Highway needed help, agency assist, I'm right on it. You know, that's what he was the kind of guy that would jump in and just help whenever needed.
And back live here at the scene, out in front of the Santaquin Police Department, where a patrol car has been set up, flowers set up, and a memorial all around this. Now we're waiting for a press conference. It's expected to start once that procession is done. There at City Hall, we'll be over there to kind of learn a little bit more about the details surrounding this particular case, what happened, what went wrong there, and a little bit more about this officer. But again, as you heard from a next door neighbor, as you heard from a dispatcher, a very kind, good man. I spoke to his brother just last night, saying that his brother really just loved what he did and gave his life serving others. Dan and Shara, back to you.
All right, Dan, thank you for that insight from those folks who are visiting there. And the neighbor, of course, they know him best. So, Dan, thank you.
Yeah, from there to the funeral home where this procession comes to an end. News specialist Kara Bracken there live to continue our team coverage at this noon hour. Kara?
Hi, Dan, Shara. Yeah, we've been here since this morning around 5 o'clock. And just as you heard from Dan, you've seen that steady outpouring of support from the community. They have been showing up since early this morning. Now, right now, we are waiting for that procession that will end here at the funeral home. And you can see even from this side of the street, we're just about half a block away from where Dan is right now. You're still seeing that line of cars. There are people outside of the sidewalks right here at the gas station that are waiting for this procession to pay their respects. Now, also, we want to tell you that we heard from someone who knew this officer while he was on the job. I want you to take a listen to what they have to say, looking back, and how this officer made a positive difference in their lives.
Pacific officer has been to my home a couple of times to help us through some struggles we've had with a teenage daughter of ours, and we just really feel a lot of sorrow for the family and want to support them and this department. Always had a smile on his face, and was really willing to help us like he was one of our family. You know, he was willing to help us out with our child and get things taken care of that way.
Now, Dennis, who you just heard from, says that he learned of all of this unfolding when he learned of a shelter in place at his home. You'll recall that manhunt went on for several hours until that, of course, too, came to a close. I did ask as well how this city is going to keep moving forward. They say it's a big family. We're seeing that play out right here. Guys, I'll send it back to you.
Yeah,
Kara.
no doubt. Small town, big city, doesn't matter in Utah. People support each other.
Kara, thank you. Well, today was the second procession. Sunday, it was a somber scene as dozens of police cars, emergency vehicles, and officers lined up to escort the body of the fallen officer to the state medical examiner's office in Taylorsville. The procession beginning where that officer had died. Now, it is a loss that is felt deeply by law enforcement who are now stepping in to support this officer's family.
Members who will miss their father at their nearing wedding. But I can assure you, we as a police department will stand up and we will be there, and we are one family.
Lieutenant Walder thanking the other agencies in Utah as well as the community for their support, asking that we all stand up as one during this difficult time.